Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your patience. So, from 2:50 to 3:15, we are going to invite you to the next session. So, two of us are going to explain what our companies are doing. Welcome to the session. A message on the future of education from Wacom and SD Tech. And let me introduce our team members. First, I would like to introduce Dr. Michio Nomura, Graduate School of Education, Kyoto University. Hello, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for taking your time to join us. My pleasure. Good to see you. And next to me is from SD Tech, CTO, Hirotaka Suzuki. Nice to meet you. Thank you. So three of us are going to moderate the session. Thank you. Now, we'd like to talk about joint work between Wacom and SD Tech. We have been doing this over the past 3 years. 2 years ago, we shared our results at this session. As you can see, Wacom and SD Tech have worked together over the past 3 years and developed many things. So for those who took part in the past Connected Ink in the past, you might have seen this. So on year one, we demonstrated maze with pen data captured and also eyeballs movement. We were trying to identify characteristics or attributes of individuals. And in year two, what we call creative words was demonstrated. While you are drawing words, we checked the concentration of individuals. And what we call mind wandering index was used to see the degree of concentration. So that's what we did in year two. So for the past 2 years, we focused on individuals. In year one, we looked at attribute of individual. In year two, we deep dived individuals. And year three, this year, we would like to focus on individuals versus others. Well, this is something that we have been seeking for since year one. We have been interested in this topic over the past 3 years. I think we developed a demo targeting education. So in discussing education, we always have to think about others. So that is why we decided to incorporate others concept into this year's theme. So with that, I'd like to ask Mr. Suzuki to explain the demo for the year. I have a movie, but I can show it to you later. So this is year three. As a matter of fact, over the past 5 years, we have been discussing with Wacom about many things. UI, UX player, that's what we are. Car data or application UI. So we, SD Tech, designs UI, UX. What matters most for UI and UX for us is that users, we need to understand the users. It's not about drawing. We need to understand the users, who they are. And as we seek for the opportunities, we decided to work with Wacom. And then we came up with the idea to use pen. Whenever people do something, we always use pens. We draw, we write with pens. So our assumption is that pen captures a lot of information about individuals. So that was a start. So it's been 5 years since we started to work on this. On year one, in order to know people, we decided to observe behaviors. That's why we did maze, and we had a lot of findings. Some people struggled. Some people found it easy to solve maze. So we see difference from person to person in terms of behavior. But what about thinking? Some people are taking it seriously. Some people may not. So we thought we may be able to learn more in depth about individuals. So we decided to work with Wacom again in year 2. We decided to go deep to understand inside of individuals. So that's what we did last year, right? And we asked people to draw trees and asking if they are serious, they may be thinking something else. So we had a lot of discoveries thanks to Connected Ink. We were able to capture data from different people. And if I look at them, we found a lot of differences. People are different from one to another. But if you take a look at the total picture, you may see the epitome of society or community. So society is a group of people who are different from one to another. So that's what we felt. And then we came up with next theme, that is individual versus others or group. So let's take a look at a movie. So it's difficult to describe verbally, so we developed a movie. This is what we did this year. So with a pen, you can draw many things. You move a pen, and then we capture data. We capture big data from different people, a lot of people. And then we deep dive individuals. That's what we did last year, right? And then we developed a model. Based on the data, we can describe individuals and make a model. So once we capture data, we put those together to understand the group. And what you see is a demonstration for this year. So for those who are here, please stop by and try this. So you draw a character and then move your character in the context of a society to go deep individual, to get to know individual. And then once we know him or her, put that person in a society and then find something interesting. That's what we did. You may associate this with a game of a company based in Kyoto. So pick up a person, pick up parts, and then so move the character in a community or society. So enjoy interaction. Some people may be angry. Some people may accept you with pleasure. And then we now know about you more in depth. And then put yourself in a community or society. And then you see others. You see other characters. Characters are developed by somebody else. So there are a lot of characters, and you're part of a society. And then there are some groups already created. You could belong to one society, and then you may fight with others. After having interaction, you may get along with some people, and some people are quiet. Well, you may feel that you don't get along with a particular group. You may decide to move to a next group. You may wander around from one group to another. So interaction style could vary from one person to another. So we visualize that kind of pattern. So this is you, this is how you behave. That's not what we are trying to say. So based on the data we captured and we analyze the data we collected, we could say that internally or behind the scene or emotionally, this is what you may think you would like to do, or this is something that you could do. This is just a suggestion. So it's up to you how you receive that message. It's up to you what kind of actions that should be taken. So we just wanted to give you our chance to think and take an action. I think it's better to try rather than just saying this. So there is a booth nearby, so please stop by. Thank you. Thank you for your explanation. So, Dr. Nomura, so listening to that's from the perspective of education. Do you have any comments that you would like to share with us? Yes. First, regarding characters. Well, I was drawn to characters. They are so lively. So in the field of education, from the perspective of education, some people have anxiety and anger. The problem is how to control those. So the anger management technique, as I often say, keep distance, spatially or in terms of time, keep distance. So you may look at yourself from a bigger perspective, objectively look at yourself. So that's what we could meta recognition. That's important for anger management. But it's not easy to try, even if I ask. So how can we promote? How can we extend support? So with this system, meta recognition is something that can be supported visually. I think that's what this system can do. Thank you. So I think there are two key points. So you can look at yourself from objective perspective. And secondly, not just looking at yourself objectively, you are a part of a society that would impact on the society. Well, you may not have to belong to a particular organization. There are other opportunities. And visually, you can tell that there are other opportunities. That's interesting. That's my observation. And secondly, so if I think what we can do with the use of this system, as Suzuki-san just mentioned, well, intuitively, without thinking, you could track yourself, and you can objectively look at yourself. And then if you take another step, what would you like to do? What do you want to become? Why don't you track that feeling and thinking process or thought process? So, I think there is ideal yourself. There is actually potential yourself. And also, there is also another yourself that is not really visible, but that is not clear. So you should be able to track yourself and then digitalize yourself and then notice something new so that you can take a next.
So how we can make the difference in the gap, that's something that we have to think next. I see. Thank you very much. And based upon such conversation, which actually we were having, do you remember to go out of your physical body to look at it observably? That's something that we initially had the discussion. That's something that Mr. Ide said initially. Yes, that was one of the topics that we discussed a while ago. And when we discuss about other people, some question is that the communication that we are having verbally with other people based upon a verbal word. And it's only describing a part of yourself, not a total body of yourself. But in the group, that is how you're regarded. And that is also leading to how you're observed in a different group. And if there's something that we can indicate using the digital pen, maybe there is one hint for someone who's having a difficult time within a certain group. That's some expectation we have for the digital pen. How we would like to be is a quite interesting topic. How we can do it with pen? You mean pen? Yes. Actually, I want to try out using that in certain circumstances. As Professor Nomura said, there's some thought that we want to create and it realize. But for example, sometimes you may feel, is it the right place for me to be? Am I not appropriate to be here? And maybe if there's anything, anyone feeling that way, what kind of an output we can expect? And actually, how we can visualize that. And that may be a part of, could it be some help or support, a hint for the people who are having difficulty? It may be called a small experience, but not only experience in a very small development group or study group, but maybe that's something that we can try out in elementary school or a schooling educational background and environment. Sometimes when you have the communication, you're really reflecting yourself in different way into the drawing that you make. Sometimes you maybe feel embarrassed about describing yourself in the drawing, but actually you are reflecting a part or a total picture of yourself into the drawing. Earlier we drew avatar, but that's something that could be done. Maybe one topic that I would like to be to further talk. Over 3 years in past, technology and handwriting, which is something that's done by a human being. And when it comes to technology, how is the technology going to change the relationship between the technology and a human being? Do you have any comment, Professor Nomura? Yes, we can have a wider circle. It's not only in this school or educational background, but we can have a bigger circle by having internet in a very diversified way. And of course, this is something that's been done in the online games and SNS, but in other words, we have a very diversified world with different race, different people, and different nationalities, and that's something that's happening all around. But at the same time, however, the technology evolves, develops, the fundamental wish or fundamental expectation of a human being remains unchanged. So there comes the conflict, and this conflict continues. So once again, at this point, maybe there's one thought about coming back from the online world to on-site world. That's one thing. When I hug and when I shake hand, that makes you feel good, and that's not something that you can actually have on online. So when we think about the human relationship, whilst we do keep on doing that, something that needs to be done, of course we can correct and change, but the terminal actuator is something that we can regard as key in at being good at this. Are you talking about the how we can have the interaction, like fingers, or how we can have the touch? Of course, with technology, we can have a wider access, but human being needs a physical touch and physical interaction. That's something that will never change. Facebook is, of course, it's a very important thing. Facebook. And the Facebook, people say like, and like is good because the people want a reaction, but also we suffer with this kind of a reaction in the Facebook. So we're saying the way you are is fine, as it is fine, and that could be regarded by us. So when we visualize using the avatar, there are many steps that to be taken in technology, and there are many things that we can do. We only have 5 minutes left. Maybe next topic. Professor Nomura said earlier, past 3 years we have been continuing this. And first of all, please try out the demo. But what comes next after this? What should come next? That's something that I want to discuss. Personally, past 3 years, we have been working very hard. But the behavior of a human being writing and drawing something, of course we can get the data. but something that happens within the body, within ourselves. That's also interesting. And that's something that we want to research further. Is there any comment? It's a wonderful way to promote the discussion, invite the discussion, I think. We say there's a system that you can use, and once there is a system, you need to try out. As the Professor Nomura said, we need to be physical, and we use pen, and we use the touch pen, and currently it's like a half semi-online exhibition. But say there are 40 people on site, and if what happens if 40 people altogether start drawing and writing something at each online touch at the same time, like maybe the classroom at a junior high or elementary schools, what happens? So you're saying that whilst they're trying to remain physical, we can introduce digital? Yes. So we make UI UX. It's a product making, but we're not thinking that we can solve everything with the technology, because it's people who can make the change. So what comes to the core is not a technology, but the people will be the core, and something that's happening actually in real sense. That's where we need to maybe intervene. And when we make that kind of an intervention, what happens? That's something that we want to witness. And we need to find those scenes at the grade schools. Professor Nomura, how about at the university? I think that's a venue that the university is a venue that can start. Because in a classroom at the grade school, they are together, but at university, we are all part. So that we need to have some kind of a magnetic power to pull with each other. And another thing I thought is that the fingers, whether that's verbally or non-verbally, if that's something that cannot be described verbally, gaze cascade is the word. If there's something that really get interested in, you cannot describe verbally, but maybe you're watching, and there is a different way of expression. And if we can find something, the way by multiplying or combining, there is a great expectation that we can do something about it. Thank you very much. We had a rather ambiguous image. There's something that we cannot describe with a vocabulary or verbally. Maybe we can verbally describe using this, but rather than that, maybe you're saying that we don't have to verbalize everything, but the nonverbal expression can be pursued. And how that can be interpreted is up to each individual. I think there's some good sense or meaning, although I'm not saying this just because we've been doing it. We have less than a minute left. And we have been working on this for about 3 years, and with the wish that we can start to have something to happen in the society. I hope you will have the time to visit us. Thank you very much for joining in this session. Thank you. Thank you.